There comes a moment in every life when a person must choose what kind of thinker they wish to be. Some people allow the world to whisper doubt into their minds, and they bend beneath its weight. But winners, think with a different spirit. They rise each morning knowing that the world may not hand them ease, but it will always offer them opportunity. They carry themselves with a quiet power, as if their very heartbeat is a reminder that they were built for more. If you listen closely, you can almost hear their thoughts, steady, strong, and unbroken. Today, let us step into that mindset together. Let us explore the way winners think and perhaps discover the winner that has been waiting inside you all along. Winners honor their journey, not just the destination, because they understand that every mile of the path holds a lesson meant to shape their strength. They don't rush past the moments that feel heavy or confusing. Instead, they pause, breathe, and allow those moments to teach them something about who they are becoming. A winner knows that the destination will come in its own time, but the journey is where the spirit grows, the character deepens, and the heart learns how to endure. They walk with patience, even when the road feels long, because they trust that every step is preparing them for something greater than they can yet see. A winner thinks differently when challenges rise to block their way. They don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" but instead wonder, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift in thought turns obstacles into mentors. It turns pain into wisdom. It turns uncertainty into clarity. Winners understand that the world is not testing them to break them, but to build them. They know that struggle is not a punishment, but a sculptor, shaping them into a stronger, wiser version of themselves. So they keep moving forward, not with fear, but with a quiet confidence that the journey is molding them for the destination they dream of. A winner also understands that the journey reveals their true companions. Some will walk beside them only during the sunshine, while others will stay during the storms. Winners pay attention to this. They learn who nourishes their spirit and who drains it. They choose to surround themselves with people who lift them, challenge them, and remind them of their worth. They don't waste their steps trying to keep people who were never meant to stay. They honor the journey enough to let go with grace and to hold on with intention. In the mind of a winner, progress is worth celebrating, no matter how small. They know that the mountain is climbed one steady step at a time. They don't wait for the final victory to feel proud of themselves. They take pride in waking up after a hard night. They take pride in choosing hope when doubt felt loud. They take pride in standing tall when the world expected them to shrink. To a winner, the journey is not just the route, it is the reward. And above all, winners honor their journey because they honor themselves. They refuse to measure their value by how fast they arrive or how perfect their path looks to others. They measure it by the courage they show, the lessons they learn, and the person they are becoming along the way. They carry themselves with a quiet dignity, knowing that every day they choose to continue, every day they choose to rise, they are already winning. Winners speak to themselves with dignity because they understand that the world is already loud enough with doubt, fear, and criticism. They know they cannot afford to let their own voice become another enemy. Instead, they choose to make it their greatest ally. When life grows heavy and the path feels uncertain, they speak to themselves with a gentleness that does not weaken them, but strengthens them. They remind themselves that they have survived storms before, and they will survive this one too. Their words become a shelter, soft yet steady, calm yet powerful, lifting them back to their feet when their spirit feels weary. A winner understands that the voice within shapes the world they build outside. If they speak small, they will live small. If they speak with worth, they will walk with worth. So when doubt whispers, they answer with truth. When fear tries to rise, they answer with courage. When mistakes echo loudly, they answer with forgiveness. Winners do not pretend to be perfect. Instead, they acknowledge their flaws with honesty and compassion. They do not scold themselves for being human. They rise with the understanding that self-respect is the soil where strength grows. A winner talks to themselves the way a wise elder speaks to a child, firm when needed, but always with love. They say, "You can do better," but they also say, "You're doing well." They acknowledge effort as much as achievement. They celebrate progress the world may never notice. They clap for themselves in empty rooms. They cheer for their own growth, and they speak life into their dreams long before those dreams appear possible. They understand that every great change begins with a single thought spoken with belief. A winner also knows that dignity does not mean ego. It means honoring their own humanity, even in the moments they feel small. When life disappoints them, they do not curse themselves. When they fail, they do not call themselves failures. They allow themselves to feel, to learn, to breathe, and then to rise again. Their inner voice does not mock them for stumbling. It encourages them to stand taller than before. With every challenge, they build a deeper respect for their own resilience. Winners refuse to let the world define their worth. They name themselves capable. They name themselves deserving. They name themselves enough. They know that the words they repeat become the beliefs they carry, and the beliefs they carry become the life they lead. So they speak with care. They speak with intention. They speak with dignity because they know that the world will try to tear them down, but their own voice can lift them higher than any doubt ever could. And in the quiet moments when no one is watching and no applause can be heard, they whisper to themselves the truth, that they were made to rise, made to endure, and made to win. Their voice becomes a companion, a guide, a source of strength. It becomes the steady reminder that no matter how dark the night may be, they have the power to speak light into their own path. Winners rise because they refuse to stay down, not because life has been gentle with them, but because something inside them refuses to be extinguished. They know that falling is a part of the human experience, a part of the journey that no one escapes. But they also know that staying down is a choice, and it is a choice they will not make. When life knocks them to their knees, they take a moment to gather their breath, gather their courage, and gather their strength. And then, slowly but surely, they rise, maybe not perfectly, maybe not gracefully, but deliberately. Their comeback is not always loud, but it is always certain. When a winner falls, they don't shame themselves for the impact. They don't call themselves weak, and they don't pretend that the pain doesn't hurt. They acknowledge the wound, but they do not surrender to it. They allow themselves to feel, to grieve, to rest if they need to, but not to quit. They understand that the ground is a temporary place, not a home for their spirit. They know there is more waiting for them, and that more can only be reached by standing up again. Even when doubt whispers that it's pointless, even when fear tells them they cannot overcome, they reach for the strength that hardship has secretly been building within them. A winner sees every fall as an invitation to rise stronger. They don't return to their feet with the same softness they had before. They rise with sharper wisdom, with clearer vision, with deeper resilience. They have learned something about themselves in the struggle, something the easy moments could never teach. They learn that they are capable of standing up even when everything in them feels heavy. They learn that failure is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a new strength, a new understanding of who they are. And each time they rise, they discover a power inside them that even they did not know they had. Winners rise because they know their story is not finished. They refuse to let setbacks write the final sentence of their life. They push forward even when progress feels slow and the future feels uncertain. They rise for the dreams they have not yet reached, for the people who believe in them, and for the version of themselves who once prayed for the strength they now carry. They rise because they know that staying down would be a betrayal to the person they are becoming. Even if the world doubts them, they choose to believe in their own ability to stand again. And when they rise, they do so with humility. They know they are not stronger because they never fell. They are stronger because they always got back up. Each rise becomes a quiet declaration. I am still here. I am still trying. I am still becoming. That simple act, standing again, is what separates winners from those who surrender. They rise not because it is easy, but because their spirit refuses to give their story an ending that does not honor the strength inside them. Winners embrace discomfort as a teacher because they understand that comfort may soothe them, but it will never grow them. They know that every meaningful transformation begins in a place that feels unfamiliar, uneasy, even frightening. Instead of running from that feeling, they lean into it. They recognize that discomfort is not the enemy. It is the sign that they are stretching beyond who they used to be. They walk into the unknown with a trembling kind of courage, trusting that whatever they learn there will shape them into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. A winner does not confuse discomfort with danger. They feel the tightening in their chest, the nervous flutter in their stomach, the heaviness of uncertainty, and they acknowledge it for what it is, growth in its earliest form. They understand that every seed must break before it becomes a tree, and every human must be broken open a little before they step into their fullest power. Discomfort becomes their classroom, and they show up ready to learn. They allow hard experiences to teach them patience, discipline, self-awareness, and resilience. Instead of wishing things were easier, winners ask themselves how they can become better. When a winner faces a situation that challenges them, they do not retreat. They may pause, they may breathe deeply, they may gather their courage, but they will not run. They know that each time they choose to stay, to endure, to grow through the unease, they are strengthening the very muscles required to win in life. They know that courage is not built in moments of ease, but in moments of trembling. They know that greatness is not born in comfort. It is built in the fire of uncertainty. So even when they feel afraid, they take one step forward, and then another, and another, until they discover that what once terrified them has now become familiar, manageable, even empowering. Winners also understand that discomfort reveals truths that comfort hides. It shows them where they have been limiting themselves, where they have been holding back, where they have been playing small. It exposes the beliefs that no longer serve them and forces them to confront the fears they've tried to avoid. Through discomfort, a winner learns who they are when everything feels uncertain. They see their strength more clearly. They see their flaws more honestly. They see their potential more vividly. Discomfort becomes a mirror that reflects both their weaknesses and their untapped power. And perhaps the greatest lesson winners learn from discomfort is that they can survive it. They walk through difficult seasons that once felt impossible, and when they reach the other side, they realize that the fear was louder than the reality. They discover that they were capable all along. That realization becomes a quiet kind of confidence that stays with them. So the next time discomfort appears, they greet it not with panic, but with understanding. They nod to it like an old teacher returning with another lesson. Winners embrace discomfort because they know it is the price of evolution. They understand that a life lived only inside the boundaries of ease will never reveal their full potential. So they choose the path that stretches them, challenges them, strengthens them, and ultimately transforms them. They choose discomfort not because it feels good, but because they know it is shaping them into someone greater than they were yesterday. Winners do not shrink to make others comfortable because they understand that dimming their own light will never help another person see more clearly. They refuse to apologize for their strength, their ambition, or their progress. They know that playing small may ease the insecurities of others, but it starves their own potential. A winner walks fully in their truth, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for the gift of life they've been given. They understand that their existence is not an accident, and their greatness is not something to be hidden, so they stand tall, even when people around them would prefer they kneel. A winner knows that some people feel threatened when they encounter someone who lives boldly, not because the winner means them harm, but because their confidence highlights the places others have abandoned their own dreams. But instead of shrinking to soothe that discomfort, winners hold their ground. They give others the opportunity to rise, not by stepping down, but by showing what rising looks like. They understand that true leadership is not about becoming smaller for the sake of acceptance. It is about becoming authentic for the sake of truth. Their presence becomes permission for others to stand taller as well. Winners also recognize that shrinking is a slow form of self-betrayal. Every time they hide their abilities, silence their ideas, or pretend to be less capable than they are, they chip away at their own spirit. That is a price they are unwilling to pay. They commit to walking in their full stature, even when it intimidates people who are not yet ready to do the same. They know that their purpose requires their fullness, not their fragments. They refuse to live a life edited by the expectations of others. When a winner steps into a room, they do not lower their voice to blend in. They speak with clarity, not to dominate, but to contribute. They share their thoughts not to prove their worth, but because their worth gives their thoughts meaning. They know that their presence carries value, and they do not hide it out of fear of judgment. Instead, they understand that the world benefits when individuals choose to be honest about their abilities and confident in their contributions. Winners show up as themselves, completely, unapologetically, consistently. A winner accepts that not everyone will celebrate their growth, and they do not slow themselves down to gain approval from those who never intended to support them. They continue moving forward, understanding that the right people will draw inspiration from their courage, not insecurity. They know that shining brightly is not an offense, it is an invitation. It invites others to examine their own potential, their own choices, their own untapped strength. A winner offers light, not comparison. Most importantly, winners understand that shrinking will never change the minds of those determined to misunderstand them. So they give up the need to be universally accepted. They trade approval for authenticity. They choose to honor the person they are becoming rather than cater to the comfort of those who fear change. And in doing so, they create a life that reflects truth, power, and purpose. They stand tall, not to overshadow others, but to honor themselves. They shine, not to outshine others, but to illuminate the path for anyone brave enough to walk beside them. They refuse to shrink because they know that winning requires a full embrace of who they are and who they are still yet to become. Winners listen to the whispers of their purpose because they understand that life does not always shout its direction. Sometimes it speaks softly, gently, quietly, waiting for a soul brave enough to pause and hear it. A winner knows that purpose rarely arrives with fireworks. Instead, it comes as a subtle tug on the heart, a quiet knowing, a feeling that says, "This is where you belong." They honor that whisper, even when the world tells them to chase noise instead. They understand that the loudest path is not always the truest one, and the truest one is often hidden in the quiet. A winner learns to trust that small inner voice even when it doesn't make sense to others. They understand that purpose is personal. It is tailored to their spirit, shaped by their experiences, and carried within them long before they recognized it. They do not dismiss the gentle pull they feel when something aligns with their soul. Instead, they lean into it. They explore it. They protect it. They allow it to guide their steps. It becomes a compass that doesn't always reveal the whole map, but always points them in the right direction. Purpose whispers because it wants to be sought, not forced. It wants devotion, not desperation. Winners learn to be still long enough to hear what their heart has been trying to say. They sit with themselves, away from distractions, away from noise, away from the expectations of others. In those quiet spaces, they find clarity. They begin to realize what truly matters to them, what brings them alive, and what drains the life from their spirit. They listen not only with their ears, but with their intuition, their emotions, and their honesty. A winner also understands that purpose does not always feel convenient. Sometimes it asks them to walk away from what is familiar. Sometimes it nudges them toward things that scare them. Sometimes it requires sacrifice. But winners do not turn away from that truth. They follow their purpose even when the path feels uncertain. They trust that the whisper guiding them knows more than the doubt trying to stop them. They walk forward with a faith that does not need to see the whole staircase before taking the first step. Winners know that when they betray their purpose, they betray themselves. They can feel when they are living outside of alignment. Something inside feels restless, unsettled, unfulfilled. No amount of success, applause, or approval can quiet that discomfort. So they return to the whisper, to the truth, to the calling that has followed them through every season of their life. They honor it because they know that it is the only path that leads to genuine fulfillment. And over time, something beautiful happens. The whisper grows louder, not because it changes volume, but because the winner becomes better at listening. Their heart and mind begin to vibrate with the same clarity. Their life starts to align with what they were created to do. They feel more grounded, more present, more alive. They walk with a confidence that doesn't come from knowing every answer, but from knowing they are walking towards something meaningful. Winners listen to the whispers of their purpose because they understand that purpose is the one voice that will never mislead them. It is patient, it is persistent, it is truthful, it knows them better than the world ever will. And when they choose to follow it, they discover not just success, but a life that feels right, a life that feels whole, a life that feels deeply, beautifully their own. Winners practice gratitude even in difficulty because they understand that gratitude is not reserved for the easy days. It is not something they express only when everything is going well or when life hands them blessings wrapped in gold. For a winner, gratitude is a way of seeing, an intentional choice to recognize the light even when the world feels dim. They know that acknowledging the good does not erase the pain, but it gives them the strength to move through it. In moments of hardship, gratitude becomes their anchor, reminding them that even in struggle, life still carries small gifts meant to steady their spirit. A winner understands that gratitude is not denial. It is not pretending the hurt isn't real or the burden isn't heavy. Instead, it is the quiet wisdom that says, even now, there is something here worth holding on to. They look for the lesson hidden in disappointment, the growth hidden in frustration, the clarity hidden in loss. They find something to appreciate, not because the situation is perfect, but because they know appreciation transforms the way they carry the weight. By choosing gratitude in difficult moments, winners reclaim their power. They refuse to let hardship blind them to the value still present in their lives. When life brings them setbacks, a winner will pause and ask themselves what this moment is offering. It might be resilience, it might be patience, it might be a deeper understanding of themselves, it might simply be the reminder that they have survived challenges before. Whatever it is, they let gratitude soften the edges of their pain. They learn to say, this hurts, but I'm still here. This is hard, but I'm still learning. This season is heavy, but it is not without purpose. That perspective gives them the emotional strength to rise again when others would surrender. Winners also practice gratitude for the people who stand beside them. Even in seasons of difficulty, they notice the friend who calls, the stranger who smiles, the mentor who believes in them, the loved one who stays. They do not take these acts lightly. Gratitude teaches them that support is a gift, not an entitlement. It reminds them to cherish the connections that uplift them and to honor the people who offer kindness in times when it is most needed. Even a single act of compassion becomes a reason to keep going. A winner also knows that gratitude expands what they have. It takes the smallest blessing and magnifies it. It turns moments of peace into fuel, moments of joy into strength, moments of clarity into direction. Gratitude shifts their focus from what is missing to what remains. what endures, what grows, what continues to shine even in adversity. This shift does not solve every problem, but it sharpens their perspective, allowing them to navigate difficulty with grace instead of despair. And when the storm finally passes, winners look back on their journey with a deeper appreciation for the challenges they survived. They recognize that the very moments they once wanted to escape became the moments that shaped their character. Gratitude allows them to see their life with softness, with humility, and with awe. They realize that even in the darkest times, life was still whispering reasons to hold on. Gratitude was the hand that guided them through, the light that stayed with them, and the reminder that no matter how difficult things become, there is always something worth appreciating.